Welcome to the Super Breakdown Podcast, where cosmic tales unfold. Join Power Maximus, Lord Triage, and the Darth Legacy Jason M40 on a journey through heroic realms where legends are born and destinies entwine. Delve into the cosmic currents, unraveling the mysteries of superheroes, villains, and champions. Embrace the cosmic energy that binds us all, and let your journey begin. This is the Super Breakdown Podcast. Enter the cosmic saga.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Super Breakdown. I'm Power Maximus. We're here with everyone's favorite demigod, Lord Triage, and the Darth Legacy himself, Jason M40. What is up, my peoples? How y'all been this week?
What's up?
How you doing, y'all?
Man, it's been a fun week. I'm sore as shit. Just went roller skating for the first time in like over a decade yesterday, so my body's sore and aching.
Hey, roller derby is where it's at, bro.
We'll see when they decided to make I'll get serious about roller skating when they make rollerball a real thing.
What?
How is that even possible? I don't know. That is crazy to think about. That makes me think of people nuts. Like trying to play soccer while roller skating.
Oh man. Well, y'all, we got a fun episode for y'all today. It's an interesting one. We're going to be, as we continue our movie monster march, we gotta like you can't talk about movie monsters without talking about John Carpenter's The Thing. You just can't. Like, it's classic. It's a cult classic. It's like, to me, it's part of the pinnacle of horror. Like, The Thing is up there with Evil Dead. And you guys know how I feel about Evil Dead. Evil Dead, like, really just, like, literally, like, it, like, sculpted and formed what we know as horror films today. Like, they had to literally change the rules because of this movie.
It's like two completely different forms of horror between The Thing and Evil Dead, but they're both like the original Evil Dead. They're both like in that same tier.
Mm-hmm.
And I would agree with you, because they're both some of the most classic horror films that a person could probably watch.
Yeah, like again, I'll say this is my first time fully watching it, like all the way through from beginning to end. Like, I've always seen clips and bits and pieces, but never actually sat down and watched it, because to be honest, I'm not a horror movie guy. I used to be, but not really anymore. But yeah, I'd say like the practical, how do I say, the use of the practical effects absolutely made the movie. It made the movie, and the acting was actually pretty damn solid as well. Like, I don't know, it was believable to an extent.
Yeah.
Like, they weren't playing no games, especially I'm gonna say this, I'm sorry, especially the black people in the film. They played it exactly as I would see, like, myself in that role. I mean, I feel like the black people in that show only did one thing, on that movie only did one thing wrong. You know what that is, Triage?
What was that?
Being in the goddamn Arctic in the first place.
Yeah, I agree.
I was gonna literally say that. I
don't know what Keith David was thinking, but
or the other black dude, TK Carter. I don't know what he was thinking. That is not what we do. We no Arctic cold. First off, forget about just being black. Anybody, nobody should be in the goddamn Arctic.
Unless you're like studying penguins.
No, fuck the penguins. Leave the penguins alone. Don't nobody care about no damn penguins. They cute, they adorable, they do their damn things. We don't need to know about no damn penguins.
Fucking
Stay out.
Eskimo.
What was that?
I said fucking Eskimo.
I don't know. A part of me feels like that was racist. I don't know.
What, the Eskimo statement?
Yeah, I don't know.
Nah, that's just like you're just stating something.
Yeah, true. But even then, they're not in the Arctic. That's Alaska.
Even then, listen, it's cold, there's snow, they're trained for that shit.
True. You got that. But nah, so for those of you who haven't watched The Thing, one, highly recommended. Highly recommended. Oh, actually, no, I take that back. It's not for the faint of heart.
Well, I mean, if you're a horror fan and you haven't seen The Thing,
You're
need
not
to
a horror
watch it.
fan. Yeah, no. Yeah,
you need to watch it, period. If you're squeamish or like aren't a fan of like that classic horror movie look,
yeah, bloody,
you
gory,
might not like it. I mean,
no.
but it's
No.
as far as like, cult horror classics, The Thing is it,
Mm-hmm. Honestly, yeah, absolutely. So the thing that I've, no pun intended, that I really got from this was like that psychological part of the movie. Forget about like the physical like horror of it, the blood, the gore. Forget about that. Just like the psychological was far scarier than the blood and gore. Don't get me wrong, like that dog scene. Like the first time you see the creature, that I'm not gonna lie, I was, oh, what the fuck? Oh no. No.
yeah.
Like the dog's head just like splits open and like another head comes out of it. It was crazy. And then I'm not a fan of spiders, so that shit growing massive ass spider legs.
You know what I just realized?
Go ahead.
We could say, I mean, like in my head, this makes sense. We could kind of say that The Thing is like really our first look at a symbiote.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
Holy shit, yeah. Now I'm thinking about it, yeah. Because it needs a host to survive. And because even then, the alien that they found when they first discovered it, the Norwegian team first discovered it, that probably wasn't even its original body.
Probably not. I mean,
No, probably not, because that'd be assuming that it hasn't come across anything else before it got to the Earth.
Mm-hmm. And the whole thing is, why did it come to Earth? Right?
Well, if you can only live by living inside of a host, and like that means life, then your purpose would literally be to just be alive and kill off other life.
Yeah, like you said, that's exact description of a symbiote. It's a symbiotic bond, not necessarily a parasite, but this was more it. The way they described it was like it wasn't like a creature; it was like a cell. It was like a virus in a way. The way it kind of worked, but it was also conscious because they literally said like even the smallest particle of it was sentient.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And now, okay, so I gotta ask, like, how old were each of you guys when you guys first seen this movie in its entirety?
I was 8.
What?
Yeah, I was 8
I'm
years old.
I'm
should.
gonna. I was very young as well. I was not 8. I was like 12 or something. But I still should not have been watching it.
Yeah, yeah. That's wild because this is my first time fully watching it, and I'm fucking 30. Wow. Now, I remember when the 2011 film came out, which was like a remake, but also at the same time a prequel at the same time. And then they actually no, let me think back because I remember they had a game for the PS2. Am I the only one that remembers that?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
What? That's crazy. No way. Ain't no way I'm the only one. Let me see if I can pull it up here for you guys. It was
It
for the
sounds like it would be
PS2.
cool. Like it sounds like it would be like a good idea, actually, to be honest. You know those types of games where you walk. I mean they're more modern games, but the screen is like completely black. You might be like walking through a dark corridor of like a spaceship or something, and you have a flashlight, and it only lights up like where the flashlight shines.
Yeah, so kind of like, a little bit like Slender Man and stuff like that. And
Yeah, it's a pretty good idea
no, yeah,
for
absolutely.
for a game.
So this. Nobody remembers this?
No.
That is super shocking.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yep. PS2 back in the man. Oh man, let me pull it up here. Yeah, it was like a legit action horror game. Like it was crazy. Yep. Yeah. So okay. So I watched my stepfather play this game, and that was like kind of like my first run in with the thing, and it just blew it. Honestly, it I was like, all right, yeah, this is not a game that I want to play. For that, I had to be about 8, maybe. I don't know. When did it come out? When did this come out again?
82 or
No. I'm
87?
the game
Oh,
itself.
oh,
Oh
oh.
five. The game, yeah, this game came out in 05.
I was 15.
Yeah, so I was like, damn, I don't even know how old I was in 05. Damn. My brain hurts. I'm not even trying to think about
I was
it.
11.
How old are you, Jay?
Right, hold on. Let me just yeah, I was 11. I'm 30 years old.
Oh, yeah, so I was 11 too. You were born in 94?
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I was 11 as well. Yeah. So, yeah, 11 years old. Seeing that shit for the first time had me like, oh, whoa, 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 you know what? Maybe they're right. Maybe I shouldn't be up this late. Maybe I should go to sleep. Um, so when you first seen this film, like, what was your first like your first impressions of this film? Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. What I wanted to ask was what was your first impression then, and then now as an adult, all these years later, what how does it compare?
Hmm. That's a good question. For me, well, I mean, compared to when I first saw it, uh, it was scary as hell, and it was something I've never. Besides something you've never seen before. It's also something that you've never thought of before,
Mm,
and like a creature or something that could cause you harm, and seeing that and knowing you've never seen anything like that before, in comparison to like how I think of it now. Now I understand the fear behind it and like the reasoning, like why it looks the way it looks.
Yeah, because that's another thing. It had the creature had a very, very, very distinct and like original look to it, and I think that was also another big part of that fear factor
Yeah,
because it's something that, like you said, you've never seen before. Like
yeah,
you're literally looking at a thing that looks like a mass of it looks like what you would think a tumor would look like, but on top of that have arms and legs and like tentacles coming out of it, making just like this, like spewing like fluids. It was just a lot. It was a
yeah,
lot.
yeah.
What about you, Triage?
So I think of horror the same way I do comedy. They say comedy is very subjective. What one person finds funny, the next person won't. And I think horror is the same way. So for me to watch that now as an adult and still be on the edge of my seat, still be entertained, and still think of the effects as well done, just shows to the master class that the film is.
Mm,
Like, there are certain movies, because if you lived through the 90s, the practical effects, that was a big thing back then.
really, it was. Yeah,
The 80s also. So it's like between stuff like if you watch the original Terminator, that still holds up.
Yeah.
it
And that's a
does. Yeah,
lot of practical effects. If you watch once again, yeah, everyone knows I'm a big Ninja Turtles fan. You watch that original movie, still holds up. Well, it's like,
yeah,
but it's also one of those things where you have to accept the realm of possibility of what you're watching. So, do some of the effects look a little cheesy now compared to all the CGI we're used to? They might. But it's also one of those things where if you watched it back then and still watch it now, you're right back to where you were the first time you watched it.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I agree. I agree. It's you have to have that like appreciation. I get what you mean when you say objective. Uh, it's kind of like, now if that we use computer animation and graphics, computer design to create, monsters and movies. And back then, because it was physically real, it was believable to see. And like
Yes. Yep.
it made it that much better of a movie. And like a perfect example, everyone knows here, I'm a giant Lord of the Rings fan. The
Mm-hmm.
original Lord of the Rings films was all prosthesis and makeup design on every single orc. And that's why it looked so good and still does watching it today. Now, in like the more recent movies, it's all computer graphics, and you can really tell the difference, like physically looking at it. You really can.
No, I absolutely 100% agree with you, and I feel like a good another good movie to really compare to that would be if you look at the new Evil Dead. So the original one was all practical, which made it absolutely fucking horrifying because it took that monster, that creature, and it put it in that room with them. You know what I mean? While when it comes to the computer animated, computer generated stuff, like you can tell that creature's not there. It's not there, so it takes you out of the moment.
It creates a different feeling when you see it. It does.
Yeah, a very very different feeling because there's you can't tell you can't really see the depth within when it comes to let's say the thing they got they got faces stretching, heads coming off, and you can seeing that the flesh peel back or stretch and rip open, and you can see the depth and and you can see how the light reflects off of the skin and stuff like that. Like the scene where the dude's stomach opens up and eats the doc's hands, and then
Yeah.
as Kurt Russell's hitting it with the flamethrower, it pulls its head off of the guy's head off and tries to squirm away. That whole scene of the head just falling and peeling and pulling off, the skin stretching, and then when it gets on the ground, like the legs coming out and then eyes coming out on top as well. Like you see all that happen in kind of like real time. But again, it's set. It's like it's physically there. The creature is physically there in that room, and you can tell and you can see it, and it feels completely different than if it was, let's say, like the face huggers from the newer, from some of the newer Alien films. They don't feel the same as a face hugger jumping on to a character in the original Alien films. It feels completely different. But with the new Evil Dead, which was also done by the original Sam Raimi, who did the original Evil Dead, he still relied heavy on the practical effects. But what made this one, the remake of Evil Dead, feel honestly just a little bit scarier, is because it was all practical. Well, majority practical, but he used CGI just to touch up on certain areas, certain things.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, so the creature is still there in the room, still physically there. It's just certain things are done in post in CGI in order to make it look a little bit more grotesque.
Like maybe adding some color or like making it look wet or like stuff like that.
Yep, exactly. And me, like I'm such a practical effects guy, hands down, all the way through. And I say that because, and this is not to take away from any anybody who is in that computer animation realm, who does the hard work and the hours of computer work it takes to make and to do the CGIs on these films, like the Avengers and shit like that. Not taking anything away from them whatsoever, but I just feel like it's an extra level of creativity when you're doing practical, because now you have to figure out, I know what I want this to look like, but how do I do it? How do I make this thing real? You know what I mean? How do I make this thing look real? And you got to get creative sometimes. Like certain things you have to use some unconventional methods to make it work. Like you're doing a bone breaking scene, maybe you gotta use the sound of crumbling chips or something like that, or use a foam pool noodle in there with like a cow bone or something in there to breaks on the inside, so it looks like the arm's bending. It takes a lot of mental work to make something not just in a computer, and then all right, now how do I take what I made in a computer and put it into the scene? That's all on computers, but you have to physically figure out, how am I going to put this here in real life? How's light going to react to this material, right? And sometimes you can create the creature how you want, but then you put it in the room, you got your lighting set up, you got everything set up, and then you hit action, and now you're sitting there realizing, it's not the look I'm going for. The light's not working right, or you got to make it look wet. Yet the material that you use, the silicone or whatever you use, isn't it's clashing with the water, or the makeup that you use is clashing with the liquid that you're using for this, or the blood that you're using isn't the right viscosity that you need. You need something a little runny, or you need something thicker. So now you got to scrap all that. Now you got to go back to the shop and redo it all.
Yep. It took a lot of work. Definitely. Because everything had to be physically made, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You are physically coming up with ideas on how things are going to look and different ideas on how to make these things. And
Oh yeah, that's another thing. Back then, there was no YouTube. There was nothing that you could just look up. All right, how do I do this?
no,
How do I do that?
it was literally all human ingenuity.
Yep, all trial and error. All trial and error. Now, there was another so like for I think it's the Daryl Dixon show that they have for The Walking Dead. It's either Daryl Dixon or the one with Carol and Negan. They added in new kinds of walkers, and they were like bioluminescent because they had like this fungus on them. And
Oh,
in order
that's
to do that,
cool.
and the ingenuity that they used was like they said they had to go back to the drawing board like 3 times because they needed it to glow. But they said but they're like, well, if we try to do CG, it's not going to look right. It's not going to come off right. So like, all right, let's try practical. So they tried LED lights, but the LED lights were getting too hot underneath the layers of prosthetic. And so they had to go back to the drawing board again. And then when it came back, the new lights that they were using weren't bright enough. So they weren't showing through the prosthetic properly. So they had to go back again and then change the prosthetic, make it thinner and stuff like that to make it move properly. And this is what I'm talking about. And looking at the practical effects from The Thing,
I can only
whoa.
imagine.
Yeah, and mind you, I just want to point out, I'm just really talking about just that first scene with the dogs.
That's another thing that we have to remember too. Filming this way, filming all practical like this took hours and hours of prep time. Not only prep time, but
Fuck prep time. Sorry, reflex.
PTSD. You got it before I did.
Touche. That was good. But it just took forever to do.
Yeah,
it just took forever, and
especially
it was a lot
like
of work.
Yeah, especially in this one scene, we have this blob-like creature, and then not only that, you have now you're involving animals as well. First off, the real MVP of that whole movie was the damn dog from the beginning that the Thing was originally mimicking. That dog was so well damn trained. Like he was, honestly, his acting was better than some of the other actors. Like, no, like you just felt like, all right, that's a dog, but something not right about that dog. Like the whole beginning of the film, like, I'm like, I know that the dog is the monster in disguise, but just looking at it, like the dog literally did not act like a dog.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just so it just that dog was so well trained. Shout out to that dog. I don't know. I got to look up the credits, and well, I don't know. I don't think they were crediting the animal actors back then. Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, but no. Nowadays, if there's an animal actor, they credit that animal actor in there.
They do.
It's not like they get paid or anything, but but like that scene alone, like to what you were saying. Now you have multiple things going on in this scene right now, right? You have the human actors and them freaking out and them reacting to the creature, but then you also have the dogs, the animals freaking out and reacting to this creature. Now that's 2 things. Now you have this creature itself, which has multiple things going on with it. It has its tentacles flapping out, flying around, right? It has an audible noise. It has a head that's swinging, moving, growling, and snarling. But then it also has another head that's spitting out this very viscous fluid at the dogs. So, boom, you do that take, but then now it's like, all right, now we got it. Something didn't go right. Reset. So now you then have to go. You got to get the dog. Got to calm the dogs down. You got to clean the dog off.
Yeah,
right?
You got to reset. You got to
reset the entire
everything.
room. You got to refill the animatronic. with all the fluids, right? And then they were using real fucking flamethrowers, so now you got to refill the damn flamethrower, and then you got to refill the prop guns with all their blanks and shit.
Crazy.
And then anything that was broken, now you have to reset and put back into place. And that's just for one scene.
Yeah. A lot of work.
Let's see, that movie came out in 85. The thing came out in 85. And if I remember correctly from what I had read was they started work on this film in the mid 70s.
Yeah, think about that. That's like, you are preparing and making a movie, and it takes you over 5 years.
My bad. It came out in 82. So they started production on it in the mid 70s. So let's say 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82. That's 8 years. Took them 8 years.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. Now, like that. So no, that makes 100% sense. What you just said, like doing practical makes the film take longer. At least back then, when practical effects was still an experimentation.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
what is your take on practical effects? Because this is literally, like I said, the practical effects really made this movie.
So I think that the practical effects, like you said, made the movie. Is one of those things like where if you compare the originals to like the requels or like the later installments, like look at not John Carpenter, because John Carpenter did this movie. Look at Stephen King. Look at It.
Yep.
Now, if you watch the Tim Curry It and compare his performance to Bill Skarsgård, to me, Bill Skarsgård wasn't scary. Tim Curry was terrifying.
Yeah.
And it's
I would agree with that.
And I think one of the reasons why that was is because they took the more practical approach with his character.
Mm-hmm.
And then look at the Candymans. You look at the original one with the late great Tony Todd.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the requel with Yahya Abdul-Mateen. Now, while Yahya brought his own spin to the character and put his own flair on it, you still see how the practical effects made that movie terrifying.
Yeah, because the original film also used real bees.
Mm-hmm.
And that man, Tony Todd was so smart. My man put in his contract $1,000 for every time he got stung.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And he got stung like I think it was like throughout the making of the film, it was like 40 times or some shit like that.
Yeah, it was well over 24.
Yeah. So that man made his money and then some. But and it's also like that noise with that film. It's also like the medium that they use in order to instill the fear.
And I also think.
Go ahead.
I also think it's because the practicality makes it feel more grounded in reality. Like, you look at the Star Wars, look at the original trilogy, then look at the prequels. I think one of the reasons why the original trilogy is hailed more and appreciated is because it feels more grounded in reality, opposed to the trilogies, the prequels that were more CGI heavy.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree.
Like when you have a movie that's grounded in reality like that, with the sets and the props and these things, you can reach out and touch it.
Yes, exactly.
And again, I feel like that's also it's about the medium that they use. So like you said in Candyman, it was bees. A lot of people were afraid of bees because they know that bees can hurt them. There's people that are allergic to bees. They're afraid of bees. Bees can kill them, right? There's stories of people being swarmed by thousands of bees being stung and dying. So when people hear the buzzing of a bee, it automatically triggers a fight or flight inside of them. Right. Now with this, they started off with a dog, right? A relatively big dog too. Like huskies are no chihuahuas. And so they're like, oh, a dog. A dog can hurt. A dog can hurt me. People have been killed by dogs. Throats ripped out or whatever. So they see that and they're like, okay, that is a danger to me. And then when they see the creature is a danger to something that's a danger to me. So hold on, whoa. So if you really break that down, so if a dog is a danger to me and that is a danger to a dog, that is also a danger to me. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that also helped it too. And when they saw that, like, and then when you see like, oh wow, like this is something that completely 100%. And this is also another thing. This is something for some weird reason is just inground within human beings. Human beings have a fear, an innate fear of things that look human but are not human.
I believe it's pediophobia, which is the fear of dolls.
Yeah, but it's an innate thing, and now we have people who have a fear of dolls who have not had any kind of negative run-in with a doll or anything like that. It should just don't look right, and it doesn't feel right to them.
Yeah, no,
Everything in their body is like something's wrong about this.
Yeah,
And to know that, there's this creature that because of practical effects, they've grounded within that reality. Now there's this creature that can become a dangerous creature that can become a human, look like a human, talk like a human, act like a human, yet not be a human. Like that shit triggers something in the human brain. And then like with the paranoia side of it, it's like not knowing who could be, the monster, not knowing. It just gives this whole entire feel of just uneasy, because then you don't, like, throughout the movie you don't know where the hit's coming from. So like forget it. I don't even think there were any jump scares in this film at all. It was just there.
Nah, they're there. They're there. But it was one of those things like where I don't necessarily think it was one of those ones like where it was meant to be a jump scare. For example, like when they're trying to defibrillate the one dude and his stomach opens and turns into a mouth.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's
shit.
not. Yeah,
because like the doctor wasn't even looking; he wasn't even paying attention.
Yeah, because he was doing the defibrillator and he had turned back to say something, and he went to go again, opened up. Yeah,
took his hands off. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, but what I'm really kind of trying to get at with it is just like, you don't know where the hits are gonna come from until it's there.
Yeah.
Right. And that's something that it builds that unease. It puts you on the edge of your seat. Now you're anticipating like, oh, hold on. Is it you? Is it him? Is he gonna turn? Has it been him the whole time? And is he gonna turn? You never know. Because at one point there, I thought it was McGrady. I thought it was McGrady. Like the film and the writing, it did such a good job at like pulling your attention one way and then throwing you in another, and then pulling you in one direction and then throwing you in another.
Yes. Yeah, there was a lot of like unexpected things, like things that you wouldn't think would happen, or you know what I mean?
Exactly. Like from the beginning, so we see the dog go into somebody's room. We don't see who it is. We see the dog go in a room and we see the guy's shadow, and then he turns and then the camera fades out.
Mm.
And then everyone's chilling in the mess hall, whatever. Then the dog hits the guy's leg that got shot, and he's like, "Go put him in the kennel." And now the movie goes on, and everyone has just completely forgotten that the dog was alone with someone before it even got to the other dogs.
Yeah.
Like, you completely forget about that, and then like halfway through the film, I'm like, "Wait a minute, then who was the dog around? Who was that? Whose room did a dog go into?" And then like it never answers it. It never answers the question.
It's funny how like you can pick up on details like that with older movies.
Mm. And then the other question I have is, when did the creature have a chance to get to the dock when he was in the shed?
Mm.
Right? Because last time we see, because that was the dock, right? The one that they put in the shed because he found out that it could be anybody, and he started freaking out, saying that
Mhm.
nobody's getting out of here, we all dying. So then, yeah, that begs the question, like, when did he get infected, or when did it take over, and when did it become him?
I think it builds the unexpectedness and the threat level of like the monster.
Yeah, and then you got to think about it. The whole time they're dealing with all that shit, mind you. The whole time when the doc is in the shed, they're dealing with all that shit in the main base, and the whole time, like when you really think about it, all it was doing was distracting them from him building the ship underneath the shed.
Yeah, it was because it was taking him more time.
Yep. And the question is, like, they said he took pieces from the chopper and the truck and took all these pieces from X, Y, and Z. How was he getting out? Or did it infect multiple people and just have them dipping off, bringing pieces back to the shed for him and giving it to him through the little slot?
That's interesting.
Right. And then, of course, I don't know. You just never knew. Right. And especially when they start doing the test of the blood and the hot wire and stuff like that, it was legit really suspenseful, because you're like, whoa, who's it gonna be? I thought it was the dude with the gun, the sheriff dude, the cop dude, because he was like, oh, because just the way he was speaking was like, oh, that's not gonna prove a thing, blah blah blah, like pretty much doubting the test is even gonna work to try to instill doubt in other people.
Yeah,
I
it
was
became
good.
very murder mystery very quick.
Yeah, big
Yes.
time.
Yes, it did.
And so when it ended up being the pothead dude, like that threw me, because another part of me was also thinking that it was the radio dude. And it was just it literally has you like, oh my god, that's him. But no, maybe it could be him. But I know it's at least two of them. But wait, he just killed the one dude, so now it can only be one. So it's got to be one of these guys. And man, it was just like, it made you feel paranoid. Not just like the characters in the film, but it made you feel paranoid.
Huh.
Now, I know we touched on it briefly, but how do you feel like this film, you know, stacks up against like current kind of like horror, like paranoid, like horror thriller films?
Uh,
Go ahead, Dan.
I guess it depends on what are we comparing it to. Like, if we compare it to like the original Saw, like when they're sitting in the the basement of that bathroom and they're going back and forth. So it's like the feeling of being on the edge of your chair is there. But as far as like the paranoia, there's very few things I can compare it to, honestly.
Let's say like you guys ever seen 1408?
Yes.
Yeah, so like thrillers like 1408 or like It Follows. What's another oldie but goodie? One that really had me like, oh shit, the Others. I don't know if you guys ever seen that one.
Nope.
Oh yeah, that's a pretty good one. I recommend that. Or The Babadook or Sinister, like kind of films like that. That's kind of like, again, you don't know where the danger's coming from.
Yes.
Or The Strangers.
That's a good one. I was going to say it's interesting if you compare it to Stranger Things. That creature.
The Mind Flayer?
Yeah.
Interesting. I never thought about that way. So yeah. So, but instead of taking over your mind, the thing it literally takes your body.
Yeah.
Damn, I'm trying to think of another good like psychological horror like that. Because honestly, it really was like really more of a psychological horror than it really was a horror thriller.
Yes.
So yeah, maybe like something like Jacob's Ladder or something like that, or Speak No Evil, shit like that. So how would you say it stacks up against some certain things like that?
Oh, I would say it definitely does.
Because these are all like really, really great movies that really give you like a real mind fuck, to be honest.
Well, it's also one of those things like where it begs the question of what do you do in that scenario? Because it's like all these guys had a rapport, they all knew each other, and it's like next thing you know, you're scared of the person to your left or your right, and you're in an enclosed area and you can't leave. So it's like, what do you do?
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Because the one guy who goes off on his own comes back and you're like, oh, well, maybe he's infected, maybe he's not. And then but you don't know. So it's like everyone basically became slowly resigned to the inevitable fate. Like, yo, we're going to die out here. The question is, do I die as myself or do I die as that is part of that thing?
All right. Yeah, absolutely. Because especially in that scene where like Kurt Russell's character and TK Carter's character, I think with the McReady and Knowles, when they go up, when they're out there and they take a look and he's like, no, we're just gonna go up to my room. And Homa's like, why are we going to your room? Why are we going to your place? Right there you can hear that nervousness, and it's like, oh man, I'm out here with the monster already. And then he's like, no, because when I left my room the other day, I left my light off. And they look up and the light's on. But then it also has you as the viewer, sit there like, did he really? Or is that just something that he's saying in order to get him up alone so he has time to take over his body? Because right before that, the entire reason that they were out there in the first place was because they went to go find Fuchs. And Fuchs had just found the piece of McReady's clothing that was all ripped up and tattered.
Yes.
And then somehow that piece of ripped up tattered clothing got inside of McReady's house. again, it's also because there's a lot of things. Oh, that's another aspect of it. Hold on, we got some comments here. Let's see. So Genghis Khan from YouTube says need more practical effects. They also said, would like to have seen the remake with practical effects rather than CG, or update the CG, kind of like software versions. Well, that's pretty good too. Because like I said, what Sam Raimi did with the when he remade Evil Dead, he updated the practical effects, but also enhanced the practical effects with CGI to kind of make it look better. So
Yeah, that's kind of what we were saying before.
yeah, so I 100% agree. So the other concept of this that this film does very, very, very well is it's not about what they show you. It's also about what they don't show you.
Yes, because you have to basically like think of it in your own head and think about the possibilities of how and why.
Exactly. Like I said,
Uh,
we didn't see McReady turn his lights off when he left. So we don't know if he's telling the truth. That was the light really off before he left? And then, like I said, there's a lot of times where the camera just fades to black. And it's just another scene completely. So there's a lot of stuff that this film doesn't. It shows you a lot. But then it makes you end up questioning what you just saw. Because now you're like, wait, did I see that? Or I don't remember seeing that. It draws you as a viewer in and really makes you question yourself of what you saw and what you didn't see, what you heard someone say, what you didn't hear them say. Then you're thinking back to like a previous scene. You're like, wait, was he in that room? Was he in that scene? Was he in the room with them? If he wasn't in a room with them, where would he go? Oh, he could have been. You know what I'm saying? Because there is a scene where that you don't see McReady. You don't see him for a little bit, and then especially with the with when they go off, it fades to black. Next thing you know, you're coming back, black dude running back through. Hey, yo, he the monster. Blah blah blah. This isn't that. But now we're like, wait. Now where's McReady? Hold on. Maybe you could have been the monster, and you went up with him, and now you took over him, and you killed him, and now you came back. Now you're not. Maybe you're the monster. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, because you're always guessing. You don't know.
Now, another comment. They also say, and like, what was the drive for the creature? It was trying to build a ship, so it would have left Earth and the people alone. Like, what was the backstory? Maybe it was a torture experiment. That's a possibility. It could have been, but no, that is a good question. It's like, what was it going to do with the ship? Was it going to leave, or was it going to use the ship to get somewhere where it was warm or more populated? Because that's the only thing I could think of in my mind.
Yeah, maybe it did want to go somewhere more populated. I mean, could you imagine that?
Yeah, then there would be no stopping it at that point, because no one would even be able to even know that it existed, because homeboy smashed all the radios. But even before homeboy smashed the radios, they still couldn't get through, because Windows said that he'd been trying to reach somebody for 2 weeks and got nothing. So they were literally out there stranded. So if that creature would have left, if one would have just left them there until God knows when, they would, that creature would have dipped out. They probably wouldn't even known the creature had left. They probably wouldn't have known. They would have still been there fighting each other.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't know. This film is just there's so many possibilities, and then for it to get to a point at the end where you got 2 people left alive, and Childs asks him the question, did you kill it? Like you can take that many different ways. It could be child asking like, yo, are you sure you killed it? Is it done? Is it gone? Did you really kill it? Or it could then be him being the creature and being a smartass, like, did you kill it? Are you sure you killed it? Yeah. But even then, like I said, the stuff that it doesn't show you, where did Childs go? All right, where did he go? Because he was gone for a minute. Because they were down there. They were in that storage area, planning the dynamite for a while. Right, so like, why did he not go and find them? Because he was the only one left in the base.
That's true.
He was the only one left in the base. So if he saw some shit, heard some shit, why would he not go find the other people that he knows aren't the creature?
I mean, how would you know? Is $1 million question.
Well, remember, because they just did the experiment.
And that is only as good as long as you were in my line of sight.
That's true.
That's true. You can go around the corner and come back around. Now I'm gonna need you to test again. We'll have to test again. Now I will say that was a jump scare though, when he put the fucking hot wire to the fucking petri dish and the shit jumped up. Yeah, not gonna lie, I was like, oh shit. And I'm watching it on a little ass phone with earbuds in and so I'm like, oh, whoa, okay. Yeah, that threw me off. But I agree with you. But again, he has a fucking flamethrower. It don't matter if you is or is you isn't. I have a flamethrower. So you're gonna answer my questions one way or another. Right?
Yeah.
So now I'm like, okay, so what was he doing? You know what I mean? I don't know. And then
it makes you think.
It does. It definitely does. So let's take a quick break. Let's hear from our friends doing some amazing things within the podcast and the Blurred community. Let's check out Midnight Comics with their indie breakdown. Let's check out Roomful of Blurs, Lady Mandalore. And then we'll be right back.
Going on, everybody? Lloyd Jones with Midnight Comics here, and we'd like to introduce you guys to our show, The Indie Breakdown, a show where we break down your favorite indie comic book characters' power, stats, and abilities, and get them ready for an eventual indie versus matchup. All Indie Breakdown episodes go live first on Spotify and on Patreon, with them eventually showing up on YouTube. So if you guys want to check out The Indie Breakdown and learn more from your favorite indie comic book creators, now's the time to do so. We hope you guys decide to tune in, and remember, until next time, midnight is coming.
Hi, I go by Lady Mandalore, the creator of Roomful of Blurs. Do you have a whiteboard in your room? Do people get a glazed over look in their eye when you start to explain things to them? Well, come join me every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we can talk comics and get to know some new creators of color, only on YouTube and Twitch.
What's going on, everybody? It's me, Calvin, from the Icarus Podcast, and I just want to say that we got new episodes coming next Saturday and every Saturday after that. So all I will have to say from here is keep enjoying the show. You can check us out, www.icarusmetrocomics.com. Check us out on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and more. See y'all next time.
Join the Pulse. We're excited to announce the launch of Heartline Comics' newest line, the Barcode Collection. Our fresh drop just hit the internet and is turning heads. Imagine this: you're rocking our merch, and friends can scan the barcodes to instantly connect with the Heartline Comics website. It's a game changer. Stay ahead of the curve and never miss a beat. Subscribe to our website for exclusive alerts on the latest merch drops and the the newest comics hitting the shelves. Be part of the Heartline community and show off your style with pride. Trust us, you don't want to miss this.
All right, and we are back. Again. Please go check them out. Indie Breakdown, Room Full of Blurs, Lady Mandalore. I believe if she went live today, she just finished up her stream not too long ago. So go check her out. Room Full of Blurs. Check out Indie Breakdown by Midnight Comics, as well as Icarus Podcast. Definitely check out Heartline Comics. And first off, their comics and their art is absolutely amazing. But definitely go check out their barcode collection. It's awesome. It's fire. But also, please do not be afraid to check us out as well. The Super Breakdown on all forms of media. Check out our website, thesuperbreakdown.com. You can get any of our merch there. Our Fuck Prep Time t-shirts, Level 7 t-shirts and sweaters, as well as many other designs that are pop culture as well as comic book related. All right, let's get back to it. So now at this point, you guys know I always like to play around with the idea of if we were making these films today, right? If we were writing these things today, right? How would we pull it off, right? How would we make this film today and yet have it still have the same effect?
Well, first and foremost, I'm not shooting on location, so that's out. I'm not taking my black ass nowhere that cold for X amount of time. Nope, I'm good.
Oh man, no,
That's
I'm gonna pass on this project like it's a body from John Stockton.
Oh my god!
Because I mean, we all know them niggas that was up in the Antarctic. They not like us. They not like us.
They not like us.
Stupid.
Nah, absolutely. So, okay, so how would you change it? What would some changes you would make?
Honestly, the idea of the movie that kept it so terrifying was them being isolated in such a small area. I think you've seen 30 Days a Night, right?
Yep.
So I think
30 Days a Night. Okay, go ahead, continue. Yep.
So I think like the idea of maybe it being loose in a small town that was isolated like that, like Tremors, like I think like that would be absolutely horrifying because you're gonna see people turn on each other real quick.
Yeah, people that have known each other their entire lives, growing up with each other. You know, it's a small town where everybody knows your name. Something like that. Okay.
All right. And you see paranoia can be one of the worst enemies there is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you gotta remember also another thing is that the Thing, how can I put this? The Thing wasn't worldly smart because it didn't know our customs or ways. At least it was never explained if it did. Because I always took that whoever it assimilated, it took their knowledge also.
That's what I was understanding too from what the doc said, is that it perfectly imitates, perfectly assimilates.
So it's like every individual thing, because you got to remember, it's not like the Thing jumped from person to person; it assimilated multiple people.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I'm sorry to cut you off. No, yeah, it would, because at the end when it's like that big, the big giant creature. What remember the last thing it was the doc. The last we saw it was a doc.
What? No.
I was meaning like it actually had the dog come out of its chest. So I think it keeps DNA from the things that it has already assimilated.
No, I agree with that. But I'm saying I'm also saying that everyone that it affects them from the time permanently. So like just like Jay said with the Venom symbiote. Like the Venom symbiote has had multiple partners and it retains the DNA code of everyone it's been assimilated to, and it retains their DNA. So the Thing is something very similar, but everyone that it comes in contact with, it infects. So every person it infects is virtually a member of the Thing.
Mm.
so they can all also fuse back together, because at the end of the day, it's all one life form.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's basically like a big ass hive mind with no particular body.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, basically.
Like
Oh.
Naruto can split himself into all these different copies, but you know that one is the actual original copy.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, if you take that one out, all the other ones disappear.
Mm-hmm.
That was not the case with this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like each individual cell was its pretty much essentially its own entity in a way.
Right. So it's like you see that in a very small town where it's hard to get in, hard to get out. And then it's like, you also got to remember, it was also disabling things around it. It took out radios. It took out modes of transportation. So it's like now people couldn't come and go no more.
Mm.
That's insane, because you have to realize, like, that's a high level of intelligence.
Absolutely. But again, we also have to remember, like, the creature that it was before it got to Earth, it took that creature's intelligence as well. So if that creature's race was able to achieve, interstellar travel, it's got to be incredibly way more intelligent than humans. So by the time it got to Earth, it was already incredibly intelligent.
That's yeah. Unless it was like, something like that, like traveled on a meteor and crashed.
Yeah,
to Earth.
like evolution.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that idea. So a small town. So now the other thing is we'd also have to find somewhere that's like, when it comes to animal life, because remember, it can take over animals as well. We got to find a place where like animal life isn't as populated. I think that's also a big reason why they did, in the cold, the Antarctic. There's no animal. There's like no animals out there. It's just not a lot of living life out there.
But to me, that would also make it more dangerous. You got to remember, we only seen it to simulate like a dog and this, that, and the third, but it's like it has to come across other things. So it's like, for like when the head fell off and it grew the legs, like you said, to you and me both, it looked very similar to a spider. Which means at some point in time, it's come across some kind of arachnid in order to take a similar form.
That's fucking terrifying.
Like, could you imagine if that shit was like in a wooded area and took the form of a bear?
No, I don't want to.
I was just gonna say, like, imagine if it took the form of like a horse or a bear's even scarier.
Oh man, but no. To be honest, taking over a horse would actually be more terrifying than a bear, because we know a bear will eat you. You see a bear, you're like, oh shit, I'm in danger. You see a horse, you're like, oh.
That's also other things that could be in the woods, from fucking snakes to spiders to, like, not to mention different type of birds. Now it can fly, so it's like,
I was just gonna say that. Imagine if it took over like a eagle with like a 6-foot wingspan,
right? Or a falcon. It's over.
Damn. Shit.
And the more it takes over, the more it adapts to our environment.
But you see, now that's even more terrifying part is like, all right, it taking over humans. That's one thing. You're always around humans. There's always going to be, and what Kurt Russell's character said was that as long as there's someone around to kill it, it's in danger and it wants to get away. It wants to survive. But now, like you said, let's say it gets into a forest. You have all that living life form that it can just grow in. It can literally take over an entire animal ecosystem before humans even know that it's even there.
And here's another thing too. It's never really said what it takes over as far as organic life forms. Like, does it have to be a meat or an animal? Because technically humans are still considered animals, right?
Yeah.
So Could it take over like a fungus?
Ooh.
Could it take over or a tree? Yeah, like that's never really explored or explained.
Yeah, because those are still all living things.
That'll be terrifying. Just walking through the woods and a fucking tree grows a mouth.
Right? Because it's like it's all technically organic and living things, but it's like it's never quantified what exactly it can. We just know it can't absorb inorganic matter.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the fillings and the metal in the bodies got spit out.
Mm.
And its only weakness, as we know, is the cold.
Mm-hmm.
That's extreme cold at that.
Yeah, because it was still able to be outside and survive. Because, like they said, they're like, ain't no damn way, no dog is surviving in the Arctic, sub-below temperatures. With I think it was 100 miles from the Norwegian camp to them, something like that. And that's another. He was like, "There's no way." So right off the rip, they should have known that some shit was off. As soon as they found out, oh well, it was at a Norwegian camp. Then it got here. Damn, how the hell did a dog get here running through the snow like that?
Yeah, exactly.
So that and you know what? I think all these things, only aren't answered because we haven't seen the thing in another environment. So there's a whole possibility that it could take over plant life.
That's very scary.
Which means it could definitely take over funguses, which is even more scary because how do funguses spread? Through spores in the air.
Every single tree would turn into a giant meat-eating Venus flytrap.
Essentially. Yeah.
Essentially.
So Joe from YouTube says, I'd say yes. So yeah, I think, we're all in agreement that I'm pretty sure it could take over a bunch of organic matter. So now, how do we combat that? We have these humans. We have now, at some point, we're going to have to have a hero of this group step up, because again now if we were to give it the same effect, or even then, like I said, if we were to do it sounds like, because like we're not going to the goddamn cold, like it would make, so pretty much doing this outside of a cold area would make this creature far more devastating and terrifying, right? We'd have to make sure it's an isolated place, but it clearly, because we're not going to cold, it's going to be warm, which means there's going to be more plant life, more animal life. It's not just going to be humans, and there's probably going to be more humans than just it was about like 9-10 of them.
Yeah,
so there's going to be way more than that. And now again, it's modern time and it's not isolated, so there's going to be vehicles, and clearly these it takes the knowledge of whoever it infects. So now the creature's going to know how to drive.
Fuck that.
Yeah. So now we have to think about a way. How would we combat something that literally could be anything? Oh, my other thing, my question was too, does it have to be living?
Yes.
Because but that thing, we just didn't see it take over anything dead. Doesn't mean that it can't.
So you're saying like if it came across a dead body, could it absorb it and take it into itself?
No, I'm thinking it could actually possibly, because it's a living creature. It's a living creature. Each part of it is a living being. So it could infect a dead body, and it could essentially take control of that dead body.
I Yeah, that's never been clarified. As long I would imagine, as long as it wasn't, as long as a certain level of decay hadn't set in.
Yeah, it's like a freshly dead body. It probably could. It probably could. And when Kurt Russell shot the big dude in the head, and I'm thinking, oh, that's crazy because it wasn't him. But what if it could become him? Now that he's got these dead bodies laying out, this creature could easily now become, bring this dead body back to life. And now they're, just give it another host that can't fight against it, just sitting there, laying there.
You would have to come up with some form of like vaccination that made it so the creature would not want to like fuse with a human.
Let's see. Joe from YouTube says, what if it could just mutate into a virus? Which, I mean, essentially it was, if you really think about it, because, the way that when the doctor was going through, like, it, his projections on the computer and everything, and it showed, like, the animation of the thing cell pretty much taking over and imitating the other cell, it acted as if it was a virus. It acted exactly how a virus does. A virus gets into your body and attacks healthy cells. And and they also said like it can go airborne, and that's something that I was thinking of too, because when they said that every part, even a small particle of this could infect someone, I'm thinking, all right, if someone's infected, they could just cough and get somebody else infected with it, because when you cough, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
that's how that's how anybody can get sick.
Also, like, how would it adapt to human viruses and diseases?
That's a good question. Could it be like, oh shit, what is the creature I'm thinking of? Like, it wouldn't. Fucking World War Z. The zombies in World War Z, they would not attack you if you were sick.
Yes.
The virus could not be in a sick body, and because they're like, oh, why are some people immune and why are other people not immune? It's because the people who were immune to the virus were people who were sick. Either they had cancer, they had some kind of illness in them. That's why we see Brad Pitt, his character, when he comes to that realization, and he's in the CDC, like whatever the virus thing, he takes a syringe and I think, what did he give himself? He gives himself like hay fever or some shit like that.
Something simple.
Yeah, he gave him some simple ass virus, and he was able to walk through the horde of zombies. But that is a good point. Like, does it have to be a healthy, living creature? So
that's
like
interesting.
But
yeah,
now
I
think
don't know.
about it, like, wow, damn. Now, really, if you really think about it now, let's say if it is able to take over any kind of organic matter, if it's able to take over trees, what are inside some trees? Termites, ants, bugs. And we all know that there are certain funguses, certain mushrooms that are known to take over, ants. They're called zombie ants. The fungus takes over the brain, gets as close as it can to another ant, blows up that ant, and now that ant is now affected. That ant goes back to the colony, it blows up, and now all those ants are infected, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing. So this creature could literally take over a tree, and now it can now take over any living creature that's within that tree or on that tree, like a bird or it's some kind of insect, shit, like you said, a snake or spider.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
It's a very similar premise for what they use from The Last of Us TV show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, yeah, the Last of Us TV show is based off of the game. Then the entire premise of it is based off of that fungus.
Actually, yeah, it is. The
Mm-hmm.
cordyceps.
Mm-hmm. There you go with those weird ass facts again, Jay. Yeah, but that is terrifying. That is terrifying. But now, now it begs the question, like how do the heroes combat something like that? Where
Flamethrower.
it's not just oh, it can be your neighbor or it could be your dog, but now it could be the fly on the wall.
My God, I don't know if you can combat something like that.
Right? It can be the flower in the pot on your desk. That is fucking terrifying. How do you? Yeah, I mean, trust me, I know how America would combat something like that.
A nuke.
Good old Japan knows how we handle shit like that too.
Whoa.
Too soon.
Too soon.
Power armor suit with the HEPA filter with HEPA filtration.
Damn, that is
Yeah.
genius.
We're not ever getting out that shit.
Yeah, you never get out of that. Never
Yeah,
get out of that.
that's the only problem.
Yeah,
You have to screen every time you shower, every time you brush your teeth, every time you go to have sex. Nah, I'm good.
Unless
Shit,
unless
shoot
you
me. Fuck that.
unless you had like a bunker that was hermetically sealed that you knew had like decomposing chamber, like sanitation chamber before you entered it. That's the only thing I can think of.
But then again, it begs the question: like, how would you sanitize something like that?
I'm going to the CDC.
But then, how do you know you can trust anybody at the CDC?
Hey man, I'd rather get my black ass shot than have to be in a fucking experiment locked in a cage.
No, that's very true. But then, yeah, man, that's terrifying because, like, literally, it could be anybody, anything. Man, it could be the woman that you're inside of in that moment, and you would never know.
Oh my God, bro.
Man, oh, listen, no. You ever seen Teeth?
Damn.
Damn, no, what's that other movie? Shit, it was a sci-fi movie. It was like all the chicks were aliens from outer space, didn't have belly buttons.
Teeth is crazy though.
Yeah, Teeth is crazy, but this one was even crazier. It literally like they were they were all women, and they were like they were like aliens, but like they didn't have belly buttons or whatever. And what they were doing, I think they were seducing men and taking their balls. I think it was.
Oh, that's lovely. That is so lovely.
It was something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. It was a weird ass sci-fi movie, but it was like a Species like level of movie.
I mean, that's saying something because Species is on another level.
Yeah, Species is on another.
So wait, you both have seen that? You both have seen that movie?
Species?
Yes, 1 and 2 and 3.
I am so proud of you.
Yes, I've watched the first Species movie like at least like 6-7 times.
Bro, it
second
had
one only
boobs
like
in
once.
It, so I mean, when I was like 13, I watched it. Just saying.
You watched it one-handed. Oh god. Oh man. Let me see. I'm gonna try to look this up to see if I can watch it. But oh yeah, not now when you really like break it down and really like try to do it like outside of Antarctic, in like such an isolated area like that, it's like kind of impossible for that to go anywhere good, right?
Basically,
because like when you look at how this film ended, yeah, it's not Like it's still not a good ending. Like the ending of this, it's still not.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna need you to clarify that. What do you mean by that statement?
So I mean, like everyone dies.
But you gotta remember, we all know first and foremost, what's that age-old saying? Good guys finish last.
Oh, I think it was decoys.
Not every story has a happy ending.
Yeah, that is very true. Yeah, I think the film I'm thinking of is Decoys.
I mean, if it's a horror movie, a horror film, would that not be a successful ending?
Yeah, look at the ending to the original fucking Friday the 13th. Look at the original Nightmare on Elm Street.
That's very true. Yeah, I think it's
The original Candyman. Yeah, no, that's pretty accurate.
Let me see. Yes. Yep. So the film I'm thinking of is Decoys. 2004 film, horror film, Decoys. Yeah. If you haven't watched it, check it out. It's a good movie. I mean, good for 2004 sci-fi film. But yeah, what I mean is like, there's no like definite guaranteed, all right, yeah, we killed the alien, yay, let's go on and live life or whatever, but again, it's a horror movie as it ended as it should in order for it to be a good horror movie.
Yeah.
So, but like there's no, but I don't know, if we were to do it the way we would, there's no way for it to end like this. It's going to be, you just nuke it. And
the American way.
Yeah, the American way. Just nuke it, and hopefully we got it. You know what I mean? Hopefully. But for me, I mean, after seeing the film and seeing the way it ended, for me, I can honestly say that I think they got it. I can honestly say I think they got it. Because there was nothing that was saying that they didn't, but there's also nothing. But there's more saying that they got it than saying that they didn't get it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But again, I also think that's the charm of the film. But yeah, no, if we do it the way that we were thinking that we just brought up, yeah, they can nuke it. And then at the end, they can kind of just have like a bug running away or something like that.
Even then, here's the other thing too, and this is the big misconception. They don't know anything about the creature. Who's to say radiation will kill it?
I mean, if fire can kill it, I'm pretty sure a nuke can.
Yeah, all right. They fuck around, get that shit radiation, and it turns into the Hulk.
So just a regular bomb. Just a regular big ass bomb. Like whatever it is, it would need to be big enough and hot enough to completely 100% just erase everything in that area.
And does fire actually kill the thing, or does it kill the thing? Does it kill the host the thing's inhabiting?
No, it kills the thing itself. Because remember, it's every particle of that being. Fire, it burns every particle of that being.
Nah, but you're not hearing what I'm saying. So you're saying that it burns every particle of that thing it's inhabiting.
So no. But you got to remember, it's not. And this is something that they didn't really specify 100%. So when so as Joe says, it absorbs the host. It literally becomes the host. Like every cell, it pretty much, there is no host. Yes, there is no host. When it takes that person, it literally becomes every cell. It replaces every single cell of that person with its own cell.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean? So it's not, there's no host. It becomes that person in its entirety. It replaces everything about that and becomes that person.
But I'm saying from this aspect, it would still have to retain some kind of bit of its genetic makeup to have all its knowledge and its skills and have its physical appearance. That's what I'm saying. Like from that aspect, what does that mean? Because we all know fire destroys the human body.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if it's just like you're saying, like that's what I'm saying. Like, what do we truly know a nuke would kill it? Because we know fire destroys the human body, but it's like no one tried to burn the creature as it was when they first found it.
Yeah, they did. Remember, Childs hit it with the flamethrower when it was in the kennel with the dog.
But it had absorbed the dog.
Oh, but even then, it had already absorbed the alien that it took. The ride it hitched to get to Earth, anyways. So we don't know what the true form of the thing really is.
That's my whole point.
Mm.
I get what you're saying now. Yeah.
So it's like we know that that fire will kill it because of the things that it absorbs on our planet. But it's like we're also just assuming that its actual form or other forms that it's taken might not be invulnerable to fire.
And again, the fire that was just the normal American way kicking in there. They kill it with fire.
Yeah, burn it. You figure if it's a parasite, burn it. Yeah.
That's a good question. But I mean, if you think about it, if it is here on Earth, all it can do is absorb earthly materials. And I see what you're saying. Like its genetic, its DNA should also be a part of, it still should be a part of what it, everything has DNA. So can it, yeah. So okay. Thank you, Joe. Yeah. So it's not human. It just mimics human. Because that's really what it mimics. It imitates human, but it's not really human. So, but everything has DNA. So that it should have its own DNA within that human DNA, so to speak.
You would have to. I mean, if you were trying to kill it, I think that you would have to learn more about it somehow.
Yeah, you would have to really honestly eradicate every last particle of it. And again, like if every particle of it then does become human when it takes it, it then becomes human when it takes it, then it pretty much is leaving itself open to all human vulnerabilities. Except for a bullet, as because like every particle of it is, alive. So clearly you shoot it in the brain. It's not just the brain keeping it alive. It's the rest of literally the entirety of the body keeping the creature alive. But
what if you were able to somehow, if it copies the human DNA and takes over the human body, and then it shares that genetic code, even though it's still not human? What if you were able to somehow give it a human weakness, such as like cancer?
Well, yeah, that's the other thing. Like, so would it eat that DNA and copy that, and now it has cancer, right? You know what I mean? But
yeah.
But here's the thing with that: it wouldn't be able to, because technically, cancer is essentially your cells attacking themselves in a way.
Yeah, everyone is born with cancer cells. Is that whether or not I want to say the word is metastasize?
Yeah, metastasize. Yep.
So, but my question with that is like, could this be like an Alexander Corvinus incident? Could it take those diseases or defects and make it work for it?
And that's something that I was just getting there as well. that, since it takes over cells, it would take over those cancer cells and remember, because its number one thing is survival. And if this is something that could kill it, it's going to take over those cells, control those cells in order for it to not die.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
Damn, is there really truly any way to truly kill it? You know what I mean? But I'm pretty sure like it would take the vulnerabilities of being of a human, seeing as how, because if it didn't, the bodies wouldn't have burned, seeing as how the skin is now the thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, that is a good point. If Norris is the one that like his stomach opened up and took the doc's arms. Yeah, if I remember correctly. Because that's what happened. Like Kurt, he pushes him off and he falls and hits his head. Is he actually having a heart attack, or is he faking it in order to get the kill? Because that's another thing as well. Like it takes the doctor's arm and he essentially kills the doctor instead of absorbing him.
Huh.
You know what I mean? So it picks and chooses if it wants to absorb you, take you, or kill you. So I don't know, man. It's hard. It's hard to say because again, it's about what you don't know that makes it scarier.
There isn't even really anything else that you can compare the thing to. Besides, like, that's what I was trying to do before.
Besides the symbiote.
Yeah. Like, there really isn't. That's really what makes it so unique.
And correct me if I'm wrong, symbiotes aren't really weak to fire.
They are.
What I heard is like that weakness to fire actually came from another creature that it had been connected to. From my thing, it was like it was like a fear that it had of or was that the sound? Or was it sound? I know one of its weaknesses isn't a true weakness of all symbiotes. It's just a weakness that Venom has specifically, and his spawn have. And I can't remember which one it is, but there's a weakness that's not a symbiote weakness. It's just specifically a Venom weakness, and that carries down to his children. Same thing with Carnage.
I do know that there's a certain frequency that they're weak to, but I don't know if that's just Venom or I think that's all symbiotes.
Yeah, I remember there was one thing. I have to look it up, but there was one thing that wasn't a overall symbiote weakness, that it was just a Venom weakness. Thus, the symbiote that we see that is spawned from Venom have that same weakness as him. But no, I mean, fire is something that it breaks down things on like such a molecular level, and I don't know of anything that's organic that can withstand fire. So I'm pretty sure that the fire would do it, because think about it. If this being, it literally eats the DNA and then becomes that the same, so that it does the same thing with the flesh, the skin, the bones, every single cell of your body. It takes and then becomes, right? And if we see that it was burned away and killed by other, the petri dish. The petri dish is perfect. So fire is its weakness because he heated up the thing and put it in the petri dish, and he said it will try to survive from the heat. anything that's trying to hurt it, it's going to move away from. So if it moved away from the heat of the wire, it means that heat can hurt it. Fire can hurt it.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of answers it right. To me, that solidifies it right there that fire can kill it. But the thing is, if it takes over something that does have an immunity to fire, then I feel like the fire wouldn't affect it. Like there's sharks out there that literally live inside underwater volcanoes, meaning that their skin is even there's snails. There's snails that literally live in in volcanoes, and like their shells have been coated with like metal shavings or whatever, and they can withstand the heat. You know what I mean? So if it was able to take over a creature like that,
Yeah, those snails evolved with like iron in their shells, and they're literally able to like be on molten rock. It's crazy.
Yep, and then, like I said, there's sharks that live in underwater volcanoes. Their skin has adapted to be able to withstand the heat. So
Yeah.
I feel like if it was to take over a creature that had that heat, that had that natural heat resistance, then yeah, I don't think fire would be able to kill it at that point. But since humans, we don't have heat resistance, like fire kills us. And yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, shit. If it took over a creature that couldn't be killed by fire, then yeah, it wouldn't be able to be killed by fire. But I'm pretty sure in its natural state, it is able to be killed by fire. Because if it wasn't, then it could have just been able to travel through space. You know what I mean? Through passing the heat of suns and stars and shit like that, and would have been able to survive. It wouldn't need a air quote unquote host.
I mean, yeah.
You know what I mean? If it could survive on its own like that, then it would have no need to take over other beings.
Yes.
Oh man, this is crazy. I'm interested in seeing if they were to do the Thing modern day. I feel like the only ending that they would be able to do is just to the same ending that they had for the first one, blow it all up, eradicate it, just burn it all.
That's literally the only option.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, that's you got a house infested with spiders. That's the only option, man. Burn that shit. Burn it to the ground. Kill it by fire. Cleanse it. Purify it. Cleanse it.
If my house is full of spiders, I'm moving. It's over.
If my house was full of spiders, I'm asking you what house? What house? Oh, you mean the one behind me that is nothing but smoldering coals?
Yeah, that one.
What did Eminem say? Me and Dre stood next to the burned down house with a handful of matches and a can full of gas and still weren't found out. Yeah, that's gonna be me. That's gonna be me. That would be fucking me. I'll be standing there like, hell yeah, kill it with fire. So I don't know, man. I have to say, watching this movie was an experience for me. It was definitely an experience for me. I was born in 94, right? This film came out like more than a decade before I was born. And watching this film truly, like, it really kind of like triggered something in me. It made me be like, you know what? Like, like shit's not the same. Like movies like this, if we had more films like this,
Yeah, they don't make movies like this anymore.
and it's not. And this is gonna be a nice hot point that I want us to talk about real quick before we round off here. It's not just because of the lack of practical effects, and it's not just the overuse of CGI effects. It's also about what is allowed to be shown. You see, right? Bless you.
Thank you.
You see, you
That
see what
is
I'm
true.
saying?
That is
Right?
true.
Because in one of the first scene when they're all firing off in the dog kennel, one of the dogs gets shot, and that's where the big guy jumps in and grabs he grabs Kurt Russell's shotgun and tells him no to stop because one of the shots hits one of the dogs. But the dog is also being wrapped up and being absorbed by the thing. So he's like, fuck it, take it out too.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
I shot that nigga also. I'm just saying.
Yeah. But again, something like that would not fly. Would not fly. You can't kill an animal on screen. You can't kill an animal on screen these days.
Listen, I'd have shot that dog with a shirt that said "fuck PETA." Bang.
But no, that's a good point, Joe. Thank you. Yeah, Rob Bottin was like 21, 22 when that film came out.
Which is astonishing.
Absolutely crazy. Astonishing. Absolutely astonishing. So like it to me, I really just feel like what would be allowed to be shown on screen. You know what I mean? I feel like this film as it is for The Thing wouldn't be able to fly in theaters.
No.
Just because of the grotesquity of the creature, and then with the everything being pulled apart and falling off, and the stretching of the face, the limbs, the this, the that, the screaming, the noise, the bloodiness, like the whole scene where the creature attacks Windows and literally grabs him by his throat, its head splits open, and literally chomps down on his head and just fucking ragdolls him around the room. Just ragdolls around the room. Blood flying everywhere, screams. No. And I think that's why, like, they wouldn't be able to do that. If they did it practically, they wouldn't allow it. But if they did it CG, they'd allow it because people are like, okay, it's CG. It's not real. You can tell it's computer generated. It's not real. But practical effect, it does not look fake necessarily. You know what I mean? It does not necessarily look fake.
Practical effects looks more real, in my opinion, than CGI. It just has to be done correctly.
Yeah, it just has to be done correctly. You got to have somebody that knows what the fuck they're doing with prosthetics and practical effects. Like hell, look at the werewolves in Underworld, the first Underworld film, as opposed to the werewolves in the last Underworld film.
Yeah. That's another good example.
Yeah, like it. I don't even think I need to say more because the werewolves in the first Underworld were done practical. Like their entire face, their entire body was literally a man in a suit. The head that he's wearing is animatronic.
Yeah. Yep.
They programmed the animatronic to make all the facial expressions that they wanted and needed. But now they're all CGI in the last film. All CGI in the last film. And I don't know. I guess they let shit fly when it looks fake, but clearly they're not going to let it fly when it looks real. So I don't know. I thought it was pretty. I thought the film was absolutely amazing. It is a piece of masterpiece, right? And that it really was a pinnacle of its time. Even though when the film came out, when it released, it did bad.
A lot of movies do.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
See,
film
some
did not
movies
do well.
you can tell when like certain directors are just ahead of their times.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And some movies are just released like not in the right time.
Yeah, and so it got negative reviews, right? But the critics it got bad reviews, but the one good review it got was based off its special effects achievements. But it was criticized because it was visually repulsive, while others found the characters poorly realized. Right?
See, some people would argue that because it's visually repulsive, that if that means it's better, that means it's good.
It means it's more realistic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so initially when the film came out, it grossed $19.6 million, right? Now the film's budget was $15 million, and $1.5 million of that was specifically on the creature effects, a mixture of chemicals, food products, rubber, and the mechanical parts.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Right, $1.5 million just on special effects alone. So it so it grossed, it profited, which this is a pretty big. This is a bomb. Its profit was only like $4 million.
Yeah,
Not even.
yeah.
Like 3 and some change off of a 15 million, which is on the damn that is pretty damn bad. That is pretty damn bad. But this is a classic. When I get a chance, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna watch the prequel, the 2011 one. We'll go back and watch it. I thought it was great. What is your guys' final thoughts on this film?
I think it's a cult classic. I think it's found its following, and I think it is a testament to the piece of art it is itself, that it is still relevant and has been secured in its place in film history.
Agreed. Jay?
I like that. Yeah, I agree with all of that. I just thought of something. I think that I agree with everything that Triage said. It's a cult classic. And I think that the person who created the movies The Witch and the recent Nosferatu, I forget his name, but he should do a remake of The Thing.
Really?
That would be interesting.
Let's see, the Witch. I'm trying to remember. That was like 2015, right?
Yeah, he made The Witch. Oh my gosh.
Robert Eggers?
Yes, Robert Eggers.
And again, I haven't watched the new Nosferatu, but he also did that really weird film, The Lighthouse, with William Dafoe and Rob Pattinson, which I heard bombed, but also was like it's all black and white. But I did hear it was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But no, I definitely got to check. Definitely will check it out. Maybe he will. But it makes sense because that's kind of like his forte, though. His forte is kind of like dark, creepy, scary kind of films.
Yeah, it would be interesting.
Nah, but again, I agree. Absolute cult classic. It's an absolute masterpiece of a film. It is a staple within the horror genre, and I feel like it definitely should be a staple within the psychological horror genre as well. I feel like any film that really makes people have to think about what's going on is a good film to me. You know what I mean? It's a good film to me. It really, at the end of it all, it rounds everything off, but it still leaves you asking the question, is it dead?
No, it's definitely not.
Yeah. But guys, I enjoyed this episode so much. We got a lot of interaction on this episode. Everyone who turned out, gave us a view, gave us a watch, dropped comments, joined the conversation. We thank you guys all. We will be back next week. How do we want to continue our movie monster march?
I gave some suggestions.
Yeah, just throw it the pick from one of those. We'll fucking roll with it.
I'm down with Species.
Copy.
Species? Perfect. It gives me a good time to go back and rewatch some Species. Definitely. We love you all. Tune in next week. We're going over Species. And if you guys want, you go on this journey with us, because when we do stuff like this, we go back and we watch the film. So by all means, hey, go back, watch the film, tune in, next Sunday, 7 p.m. Same kooky channel, same kooky time. When I'm pretty sure next episode is going to be some shit. But again, as always, this has been a Super Breakdown. I'm Power Maximus. We're here with everyone's favorite demigod, Lord Triage, Darth Legacy himself, Jason M40. And always remember, fuck prep time.
Fuck prep.
Fuck prep time.